Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a new video. It is Monday morning. The boys and Avery are downstairs. I'm going to be taking the boys to school in about 10 minutes. I just popped upstairs to grab some clothes for Avery to change into. She's being fed at the moment, and if you can hear a very loud aggressive noise, that is Zach playing. But that should be no surprise by now. That's what he plays like, and very imaginative, that little one. I really don't know how he is able to play the way he is just from 2 pieces of Lego and making a lot of noise. Anyway, so there's something I wanted to quickly talk about, and it's actually because of one of you guys. So in my last vlog I mentioned that I had a UTI. I've managed to get rid of it, which I am so pleased about, because I don't know if there's any worse feeling than a UTI. Anyway, normally what I do to get rid of a UTI without having to take antibiotics is chug water, to the point where I'm probably overloading my body with water. And there was a part in my last vlog that a lot of you guys won't have seen, because I actually edited it out after one of my channel members reached out to me. So basically I didn't want to come across as though I was suggesting to overload your body on water, because something that I didn't know, one of you guys did luckily, you can actually give yourself water intoxication, which I didn't even know was a thing. I knew that obviously drinking too much water over time was bad for your body, but what I didn't know is that drinking too much water in a short amount of time can actually lower the salt content in your body, which is actually really bad for you, and that can cause you serious harm. So definitely don't do that. But I figured since I wasn't aware of that, it would be a good way for me to kind of share the awareness here, because if I didn't know, then I'm sure other people didn't know. Luckily I managed to get rid of it anyway, and I'm just going to be very careful, I suppose, on how much water I drink when I do get a UTI. But I'm gonna go downstairs and get the boys ready to go off to school, and I will catch you afterwards. So since we are now in October, I really fancied doing a little bit of autumnal baking. Normally around this time of year I would make a pumpkin pie. That's what I have done for the last couple of years. This year I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to make a pumpkin loaf cake, which I've never made before, but I found the recipe online. I think it was from Anna Banana. I basically just found a recipe that kind of added up to how many ingredients I've got, because I've only got 2 eggs, and a lot of the recipes I was looking at needed 4 eggs. This one only needed 2. So I've got all of my ingredients here. In this bowl I have 100 grams of butter. It didn't soften in time, so I did have to put it into the microwave for a little bit. With this being a loaf cake though, I'm not too precious about the texture of the cake, so I really don't mind. And then I'm going to use 200 grams of caster sugar. Now I'm supposed to whisk this together until it's light and fluffy. I really need to invest in like a handheld electric whisk, to be honest. Sometimes I really don't fancy pulling out my stand mixer, but it's quite a workout trying to do this with your bare hands. That is probably about as light and fluffy. I'm going to be able to get it by hand. So now I'm going to add 2 eggs. But I'm going to whisk these in one by one. The recipe says to mix the dry ingredients in a separate bowl. I'm not going to do that because it's more dishes and I am lazy. So I'm just going to put it all straight into the one bowl. So I'm going to use 150 grams of plain flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I'm not using an actual like measuring spoon, I'm just using bog standard teaspoons. I suppose you could probably use self-raising flour instead of plain flour and baking powder, but I'm just following the recipe. And then the spices, which is definitely the best bit. So I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ginger, And the recipe doesn't say it, but I'm also going to add a little bit of nutmeg as well, because if I'm making like a spicy cake like this, cinnamon, ginger and nutmeg are usually the herbs that you use, or spices, sorry, that you use. So I'm adding a little bit of nutmeg as well. Then I'm just going to fold all of this together. So the last few times I've made anything with pumpkin, I've just used a regular pumpkin and made the puree myself. This year I thought I would opt for tinned pumpkin. Now the reason I've never done this before is because canned pumpkin isn't really something you'd usually find in the shops here in the UK. I think they do it at Waitrose, so my mother-in-law says. However, we don't go to Waitrose, and I ended up finding this on Amazon, and it was only, I think, like £1.50 for a can, which I know is probably way more than it would be if they were to sell it in the shops, but I don't think £1.50 was bad, considering I would have paid more than that for a pumpkin. So this is the Bakeroo 100% pure pumpkin, and I'm using 200 grams of this. I will link this one down below. If you are from the UK and you just want an easier alternative to pumpkin puree. I think you can get it in bulk as well, but I just ordered the one. So there's a little bit more than 200 grams in there, but that is fine. And then I'm just gonna fold this through as well until it's all mixed together. Personally, I find that things like pumpkin pie and pumpkin cake generally have quite a similar taste to carrot cake, and I love carrot cake. So I'm hoping I'm really going to enjoy this. I am going to make a cream cheese frosting to go on the top as well, because I think anything spicy or red velvet cake, those two things need to have cream cheese frosting. I hate it when I buy like a red velvet cupcake or something from the shop, and the frosting is just like a vanilla frosting. It has to be cream cheese. It definitely makes the world of difference. I think anything spicy or tangy in flavour needs to have cream cheese frosting. In terms of like pudding or cake, it just elevates it completely, and I really enjoy cream cheese frosting. So at the moment this is smelling very much pumpkin-y and not very spicy, so I'm just adding a tiny bit more cinnamon. Hopefully kind of like all the spice flavours will come out once it's actually baking in the oven, but just for good measure I have just added a little bit more cinnamon. I don't even know if my teaspoons are actually teaspoons, so I might not have used enough spices, but we'll give this a go and see how it comes out once it's baked in the oven. So that is looking lovely and orange. The only thing I didn't add in this is a pinch of salt, and that's because the only salt I've got at the moment is sea salt, and I don't really want clumps of sea salt in my batter. So I've just got a loaf tin, and I'm just going to plop this batter into there. Anything I bake, I tend to bake it much lower in temperature than the recipe says, just because I think everything's just a little bit better when you bake it for a little bit longer but at a lower temperature. I don't know why, maybe it's the oven itself, but that's what I do. So I've got my oven set to 150. This is a fan assisted oven, I think, and I'm going to pop it in the oven. Probably check it after about half an hour. It'll probably need a lot longer than that, to be fair, but I just check it and then I kind of take it by what it looks like, and if a knife comes out clean, I suppose. So I'm just going to pop this in the oven and I'll check it in half an hour. The cake is smelling so good, isn't it? I'm not going to lie, as I was kind of putting the batter into the tin, I started to feel a little bit sad because it brought back some memories. Last year when I made a pumpkin pie, Avery was having tastes of the pumpkin pie and I remember her enjoying it, and I think maybe it's made me feel a little bit emotional because Avery was actually discharged from speech and language therapy I think it was either last week or the week before. I don't think I've mentioned it here on my channel yet. And by speech and language therapy, I mean in terms of her eating. We're still waiting for a referral on speech and language therapy in terms of actual speech. But in terms of her eating and drinking, she's been discharged from the service for now because we just feel as though Avery's swallow is too unsafe. We can't see any progression happening anytime soon. And the thing is with Avery, even though she shows so much interest in food and wanting to use her mouth to explore things, the second something goes near her mouth, she just produces a lot of saliva, and then she really struggles. Yeah, she really struggles to coordinate that saliva, and that alongside the reflux as well, it makes it very unsafe. Even the tiniest little bit of reflux or spit could go to her lungs and then potentially give her aspiration pneumonia. So at this point it really isn't safe, and it's just sad to think that this time last year she was having tastes, but then she was also getting recurrent chest infections. So we just think as it stands there's too much that needs to be looked at. So in terms of saliva, Avery could potentially have medication or even sort of these patches that would go behind her ear that could dry out her saliva. Reflux is, I think, forever going to be a battle. I don't know what more we can do with that at the moment, but in terms of anything we can do with these things, really, we have to wait, because there's other things on the list, and I've talked about this before. There's so many different things the doctors still want to try. We don't want to do more than one thing at once, because we've done that before and we've never known what's causing side effects or benefits. At the moment, or should I say over the last month or two, the priority has been getting Avery's seizures under control. So the topiramate needed to be added. We're now at a stage where she's past the point where I think we're going to see any new side effects with the topiramate, so we can start something new. However, I think the doctors would probably prioritise the next dystonia medication, which will likely be clonidine. And then after that, who knows, it could be another medication. Obviously we've got to wait for the clonidine to kind of take effect. If that doesn't work, they may want to switch that. They want to reduce Avery's Keppra and potentially bring her off of that because that's no longer effective. They want to potentially bring her down on the back then, because they don't feel like that's making enough of a difference to kind of warrant any side effects it would be giving her. And there's just a really long list of things that, you know, we need to try with Avery, and because we can only do one thing at once, and we need to give that one thing a good amount of time, there is a lot that kind of comes before eating in terms of priorities. And blended diet is something we still need to trial again, but again, it can't be done at the same time as anything else, and we just have to kind of prioritize what's more important. Blended diet could potentially help her reflux, who knows. I'm not sure if it did last time we tried it, but she's a bit bigger now, maybe it would. But really, it's going to take for Avery's saliva to be under control and maybe her tone to be a little bit better, and potentially her reflux to be a bit better, I think, before we're going to see any difference in terms of the safety of her eating. At the moment, there are no plans to try to get Avery eating by mouth, which is really sad for me, because way in the beginning that was one of my top things. When they asked me what do I want for Avery, it was always one of my top things. I wanted to be able to eat things by mouth, not everything maybe, but I wanted to be able to experience food, and it's just looking more and more likely that we're not going to see that happening, especially not for a really long time. I mean, that doesn't mean Avery can't experience food in different ways. She can still smell it, she can still touch it, she can see it. And I think the furthest we can go really is letting her feel the texture of food on her mouth, so she kind of gets that sensory feedback of the feeling of the food on her mouth and then with the smell. But that's really as far as we can go in terms of keeping Avery safe. So that's that update. Oh, no, it's okay. You don't need to be sad. You don't need to be sad. It's okay. Put the bottom lip away. Hey. Avery's doing much better. That's a plus. She's doing so much better, and touch wood, Thank goodness none of us have any symptoms of COVID. Josh's was very, very mild. He maybe felt rough for a few days and then it went away. And none of us have had any COVID symptoms, so fingers crossed none of us caught it. We will all be taking lateral flow tests this week towards the end of the week though, because we've actually got a weekend stay at Little Harbour, which I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, looking forward to going to Little Harbour. So we're all going to be taking lateral flow tests. We don't need to anymore, it's not a requirement to go anymore, but because Josh had it and because we've all, you know, been living with him, we just think it's safer for us and for everyone else if we just take lateral flow tests on the Friday before we go and make sure that none of us have it, because there are just too many poorly children in that environment, and we know how bad illnesses can be when you have a vulnerable little one. So we're all doing good though. We're all doing fine, aren't we? We're all feeling okay. We had a really chill weekend. We went and saw Josh's mum and dad for the first time in ages, which was really nice. Josh's dad was quite poorly, so we kind of steered clear because of Avery, and then Avery got poorly, and then Josh tested positive for COVID, so we haven't seen them in a really long time, so it was really nice to spend some time with them. Avery is not at nursery today, which you've probably guessed by now. She's not going to nursery today. Today is actually an inset day in the nursery, so a bit like a teacher training day, so the nursery's closed. She is going first thing tomorrow, and it's going to be all guns blazing because she actually has physio at 9 o'clock at nursery, and then she also has her vision support teacher coming to see her at 11, so we need to be there for the full time, which will be the first time we've ever done that. She's never been for that long, have you? Never been for that long? So that's going to be a challenge. I think it'll be okay. I'm glad that it's the morning and not the afternoon, because the afternoon she tends to get tired much quicker. So that's going to be fun, isn't it, Pudding? This week she also has an epilepsy review. So we're going to go and actually meet Avery's epilepsy nurse face to face, which we've never done before. We've always had telephone appointments. But on the epilepsy front, things are quite stable at the moment, which is really nice, especially considering she's been poorly. I just can't believe we've managed to get through an illness without a seizure. Although I think when I mentioned her hand twitching a little bit, I think that might have been maybe a little focal seizure. But the fact that it didn't turn into like a big seizure is very, very, very good, isn't it? Hey? This month is actually quite a busy one in terms of appointments. Avery's going to be getting her new splints and her new gaiters. She also has an appointment with the eye doctor, don't you? Because we feel that maybe Avery's glasses, I don't know, maybe aren't as effective at the moment. I mean, she hates them. We can't get them on her. Every time we do, she's just really unhappy. So we're going to go and get her eyes checked and see if she needs a new prescription. What else have we got? We have neurology this month as well, which is the first time in a while. So hopefully we'll get some answers on what medicine we're trying next. We also have cardiology this month. Both Zach and Avery have got an appointment with their cardiologist. It's a bit annoying that we didn't make it to Zach's MRI, because that would have been helpful for this appointment, but I don't know. I've had my tests since then as well, because they wanted me to get tested to complete the kind of family picture. So hopefully I'll be able to find out the results from them, but I'd imagine no news was good news and they haven't found anything wrong, otherwise they would have contacted me. So yeah, very, very, very busy month this month. Coming into autumn, weather's getting colder, it's looking quite miserable outside, and before we know it, Pudding, it'll be Christmas. Do you know what? I'm not even going to get into the topic of Christmas just yet. It's still a little bit too early, but October is a very busy month for us. I am just killing a little bit of time with Avery really before her feed's due, because her feed's due in half an hour. And I look forward to that time of day because I get to sit down with Avery on my lap, feeding Avery with a cup of tea and some jam on toast, and as of recently, watch Call the Midwife. And I know I'm a late. I'm very late to the game on Call the Midwife because I know that it was kind of aired years ago. But if any of you from the UK and you have BBC iPlayer and you haven't watched Call the Midwife, oh my goodness, it's so good. I just slept on it when it came out. I didn't think it would interest me, but I've been loving it. I've been binge watching it every time I feed Avery. And fun fact, when I was younger I actually wanted to be a midwife. I even went to college initially to study A-levels that I thought would help in getting me into a university for a midwifery degree. So I actually took on human biology, chemistry, psychology and maths, and at that time they said that's too much of a load, you won't keep it up, but I was up to the challenge. So I tried it, and within the first half term I ended up getting Bell's paralysis, which if you've not heard of that, is basically where half of your face just paralyzes. You just lose all movement and feeling in half the side of your face. And I was put on steroids for 2 weeks, and I was told that I couldn't let myself get stressed out, otherwise the steroids wouldn't really work, and then I might be stuck like that forever. So I had to take a couple of weeks off of college, and I just couldn't catch up after that. I was barely keeping up anyway, so I couldn't catch up after that. So I ended up giving up all of my A-levels and doing a national diploma in art and design, which was kind of my other passion, was, you know, the creative side. But yeah, little story time for you there. I was going to be a midwife, and even though, you know, I wouldn't change the way things are, I still have quite an interest in midwifery. I'm not sure what it is about it. Maybe it's just because of the magic and the beauty of what a woman's body can do, and, you know, grow a baby from a tiny little cell to a full-grown baby. But yeah, I just find it really, really interesting, and watching kind of the way it was back in the 50s, back when most women had their babies at home, back when things like gas and air were really, really new. I just find it really interesting to watch and just see how different it was back then, especially having kind of experienced labour and delivery 3 times. So yeah, if you haven't watched Call the Midwife, if you're incredibly late to the game like I was, give it a go. It's actually really good. And the nice thing about watching it now is I don't have to wait for any episodes. They're kind of all there on BBC iPlayer. So I think at the moment I'm on season 3, I think. But really been enjoying it. So I am gonna get Missy's feed ready in just a little bit, aren't I? I'm sorry, are you looking? Do you want to say hello? There we go. Do you want to say hello? Eh? There we are. Are you saying hello? Are you talking? Say hello. Hi. Hi. Yeah. A lot of you guys have noticed that she's getting very, very vocal recently. She is, and it's really nice to hear. Also, thank you all so much for leaving such nice comments about Avery's hair. I really like it in plaits too, and I'm really happy that it's long enough. Oh dear. Her hair is getting a little bit straggly at the ends now, just from where it's kind of grown in unevenly. I'm just waiting for her 24-hour EEG, because they'll stick glue to her hair then, and I don't know what state it's going to be after that. But once she's had that, I'm probably going to give her hair a little bit of a trim to even it all out. Yeah, it might make it a bit easier to brush through in the mornings. Oh! Right, I'm going to let her have Mr. Bean back for a couple more minutes while I get her feed together. And then Mummy gets the TV. Mummy gets to watch Call the Midwife. Yeah? Just before I feed little Missy, I thought I'd show you guys something. So as you guys know, if you've been following me for a while, I get PR packages from Wild. If you've never used Wild deodorant, they make refillable deodorants with compostable refills. So good for the environment, and better for your body as well, because it's made with natural products. And a few vlogs ago I mentioned that they were going to start bringing out body washes, shower gels, and they've actually sent me one so that I can show you guys. This is the component. So I've got a lovely pink one, which I think just looks nicer in the bathroom than just your standard body wash bottle. And then you get the refill. So the refill packaging is completely compostable, so really environmentally friendly. I've got the jasmine scented one. I have already smelt it. It smells really, really nice. And so you just take off the kind of top part of the bottle, pop your refill in, unscrew the cap, and then you can pop the top on, and then you've got your very own refillable shower gel. It's just better for the environment. Personally, this would look much better in my bathroom than the many shower gel bottles that we usually keep. It's natural, it's vegan, and the refills are, like I said, compostable, 100% plastic free, so better for the environment, better for your body. So if you haven't given Wild deodorant a go, or you have given Wild deodorant a go and you like it, then try out the shower gels. I am really, really excited to use this, but I will leave my affiliate link and discount code down below so that you can get some money off if you do want to give it a go. But this isn't sponsored, by the way. I do just get PR from Wild, and I really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much again to Wild for sending this over. Really looking forward to using this. It smells really, really nice, and it's just nice to know that I'm not going to be wasting plastic bottle after plastic bottle. So this is going to go in my bathroom. Avery is still in her stander. She's watching a bit of TV in it, and she's doing really well actually, considering we've had the weekend off and the last few weeks have just been a bit choppy anyway with her being ill. But while she's in her stander, before I have to go get the boys from the school run, I thought I would quickly show you some of the bits that I've picked up over the last few weeks, still all in honour of my slowly but surely trying to replace all of my old stuff with nice new stuff. So starting with my new pots. You might have heard me mention a while ago that I wanted to replace my red cast aluminium pots for no other reason that they were red. The cast aluminium pots did go to a good home. My mum has them now, and she likes the fact that they go from hob to oven, which is what I liked in those pots, which is why I wanted to get ones that did the same thing. However, these ones are cast iron, so they are much more heavy duty. They are definitely heavier. I love the colour. They're just a nice cream. So I've got this one, which I think is a 5 point something litre, and then I have a slightly smaller one, I think at 3 point something litres. And these were from Argos. I think they've got a 10-year guarantee on them too, so really, really happy with these. Just another thing off my checklist. And then I also picked up a couple of new books. So I've ordered a couple of coffee table books. The first one is actually a White Company book that hasn't arrived yet. Apparently it's coming from Bulgaria. I think it's the older one. I don't think it's the newest one because it was slightly cheaper. And then also I found this one beautifully organised, and I bought it mainly as a coffee table book, but I figured this is something that I would really enjoy getting some inspiration from. And I didn't know this, but when it actually arrived, I realised that it's actually written by Nikki Boyd, who is a YouTuber that I used to watch. I'm talking years and years ago, religiously. I always used to watch her, and it was back when I was really into the greys and silvers and chromes. And that is basically what her entire house looked like, and she was so good with organisation and decorating, and I was completely besotted with her YouTube channel at the time. I've not watched her channel in a really long time. I don't even know if she still does YouTube, but I didn't know that this was one of her books until it came, and I just started to recognise some of the pictures. I don't know how I managed to remember them, but I just recognised some of the pictures, and then I saw a picture of her and realised that she seemed incredibly familiar. So I think this book was meant to be for me. So really happy with that one. And the other two I bought were actually cookbooks. So the first one was this one, Supper. So the two cookbooks I got off Amazon, they had a sale on them. They were both like 50% off or something like that. But I just thought the look of this one was so nice. And I thought it would look really, really nice on my shelving unit. But even as an open book, the pictures inside are just so aesthetically pleasing to look at. I love the colouring, and hopefully I'll get some nice meal ideas out of there. And then the last one, I'm not gonna lie, I expected it to be a bit bigger, but this is one I'd had my eye on for a good few months now. It's called The Baker's Appendix. The fabric on this one is really nice, and this it is a cookbook. It does have lots of recipes in it. I think what I like is it's got lots of kind of basic recipes, so things like Swiss meringue buttercream, chocolate ganache, lots of kind of the little baking recipes that you'd like to keep on hand, but also it's actually got conversions for all sorts of different things. So I thought that this would be really, really handy to have in the kitchen, and again, it looks really nice as well, which is something that I'm trying to keep in mind when I buy anything functional. I'm trying to make sure it looks nice too. Those are my newest purchases. I'm gonna go and get Avery out of her stander now, because I think I can just now hear her starting to get a little bit irritated. And yeah, it won't be long before we have to get the boys from school. I wanted to show you Avery's reaction when I get her out of the stander, because honestly she does the same thing every time. So obviously right now she's irritated, she wants to get out, and I've started getting her out while she's standing, which isn't really advised. You're supposed to lay them back, but I've shown her physio what I do and she didn't shout at me too much. So it's her reaction that gets me, because it's almost like she knows when she's coming out. I don't know if it's because she can hear the Velcro, or if she can just feel the kind of tightness going away. But I like to kind of give her a few seconds, just standing like this without the straps, because it's almost like she's completely bearing the weight without those straps holding her in any way. Now obviously I'm standing directly in front of her. I would never do this if I wasn't standing right here, but sometimes, I'm not sure if she'll do it this time, but sometimes she will signal to me that she's ready to come out. You come in? Good girl. So I'm not sure if, oh, we're stuck, hang on a minute, Pudding. The Velcro's still on your foot, there we go. I'm not sure if by her kind of stretching or reaching out to me is a signal of her wanting to get out or not, but I find that with doing those things and responding to things that may be her telling me something, the more we do that, the more she's likely to realise that if she reaches out for me, or, you know, it looks like she's trying to pull towards me, then I will pick her up. So it's just kind of trying to teach her brain that if I do this, then I get that. Even if it doesn't really mean it at first, even if she didn't mean to do it, hopefully over time, she will realise. So she didn't give me the same reaction as she normally does when I pulled her out there. Normally she would smile when I start pulling the Velcro off, like she knows she's getting out. Maybe you were just a bit too frustrated being in there, eh? But oh! Or maybe she had wind. That was a big burp. Hey, wasn't it? Yeah. So the other day I mentioned that, by the other day I mean, I think it was the last vlog, I mentioned Avery Sats monitor has been playing it up and it's been keeping me up at night. I gave in today and finally called the community nurse admin, and they have sent over a new probe to try on her foot. They've also sent some of the kind of, these are more single-use ones, I think, just to give them a go, and if those don't work then we might need to get the actual machine looked at, because it went off again last night about 4 times. Honestly, I can't remember the last time I had like uninterrupted sleep without that machine going off for no reason. Obviously I'm grateful for the machine and I want it to go off when it needs to go off, but when it's literally just playing up and I don't actually need to wake up, it's annoying. Anyway, I think I'm going to close this vlog off here. I hope you enjoyed spending the day with us, and I hope you enjoyed doing a bit of autumn baking with me. Let me know if you have any traditional kind of autumn bakes that you like to do. And yeah, I'm trying to think of something else that I could make that's autumnal. I've already done an apple pie. I've done my pumpkin type thing now. I don't think I'm going to make a pumpkin pie this year again. I think I'm just going to stick to the cake. But I have about 5 minutes before I need to go get the boys, so give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe if you would like to follow us along on our journey. And with all that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.